The following program is a West Tennessee PBS special presentation made possible through the generous financial support of viewers like you. Please visit westtnpbs.org and make a donation today so that we can continue to make local programs like this possible. Thank you.
She was called the Boogie Woogie Queen. You've heard of Carl Perkins, Big Maybelle, Tina Turner, all West Tennessee music legends. But there's one more name you need to add to that list. Christine Chatman, a forgotten Jackson music legend. Christine was born here in Jackson in 1920. By the age of 3, she was playing the piano. At 15, she was performing professionally. And at age 23, she had her own band. Christine broke many barriers and performed with Lou Rawls and Frank Sinatra, to name just a few. We are on Royal Street in downtown Jackson, where a historical marker honoring Christine is being unveiled. Jackson music legend Christine Chatman is part of our history here at home.
There she formed her own band, signed with the Ferguson Brothers Talent Agency, and became affectionately known as the Boogie Woogie Queen of Naptown.
She was a female black band leader. I just think she had 2 strikes against her back in the 40s or whenever it was.
Tell this wonderful story about her life. I'm so proud of her, so proud of what our family has been able to do.
We're hometown, proud of our history. We're built on solid ground.
It's all about home. It's all about history. It's all about West Tennessee. This is All About Home History.
It's all about home.
Hello, I'm Peter Knoll. In this edition of WLJT's All About Home History, we are remembering and honoring Jackson music legend Christine Chatman, known to many as the Boogie Woogie Queen. We are in downtown Jackson, just across from the Neely House at the site of the old train depot. This is where a special ceremony is happening, unveiling a historical marker for Christine Chatman. So let's watch as her life and contributions to music are remembered.
Thank y'all for coming out to the historical marker dedication for Christine Chatman, presented by the Jazz Foundation and the City of Jackson. Christine Chatman is just a remarkable individual. When you think, well, I'm sure most of y'all know the story. By the time about age 3, she was playing piano. When she was 18, she started her own band and hit the road. And she makes a big splash in Indianapolis. And she goes to Las Vegas, and she's playing with people like Frank Sinatra and Dinah Washington and Sammy Davis and all these great people. And that just took a lot of courage. If you think about the 1940s, in particular for a black woman to do something like that, that's mind-boggling, right? But what's even more impressive for me is that she had the courage to walk away from it all. And so the story goes that while she was in Las Vegas playing at the Thunderbird, she got saved, and she dedicated her life to the Lord. And she eventually makes her way back to Jackson, where she works with Walnut Grove Missionary Baptist Church male chorus. And the choir's so good that they record and they receive awards and critical acclaim. And so to me, that took more guts than actually going out on the road to just walk away from everything like that.
Good morning. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Christine Chatman, a little short bio. Christine Chatman was born in Jackson, Tennessee, and began playing piano at the tender age of 3. By 15, she was already performing professionally, and by 18, she was touring the Midwest with the Leak Brothers combo. In the early 1940s, Chatman relocated to Indianapolis, nicknamed Naptown, where she gained national recognition. There she formed her own band, signed with the Ferguson Brothers Talent Agency, and became affectionately known as the Boogie Woogie Queen of Naptown. In 1944, she recorded her iconic debut single, Naptown Boogie, a joyful tribute to the city that helped launch her career. A multi-talented performer, Chatman was not only a dynamic piano, but also a vocalist and band leader at a time when few African American women held such roles. She played 13 instruments and was known for her swinging jump blues style. Despite facing challenges being blacklisted by a musician union strike, her legacy endured through numerous recordings in the 40s and 50s, and her family continued to this day to preserve her legacy. Another thing I wanted to say, there's some of you had got a little handout that I was passing out early. The mark of a good musician is being a session musician. Christine Chatman was a phenomenal session musician. She played on session for people such as the Platters. She played with Lou Rawls, Frank Sinatra. She was a phenomenal woman. And in conclusion, I want to say one other thing. She gave Big Maybelle her recording debut. Big Maybelle was from Jackson, Tennessee also. Another outstanding thing to know is why Christine Chapman fronted her own band as a female fronting her own band. Big Maybelle was playing in an all-female band known as the Sweethearts of Dixie. So Jackson, Tennessee has produced phenomenal women in the field of music, Christine Chapman being one of those. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Cherry. First of all, let me say that we are so pleased and happy to have this Jazz Foundation in Jackson. And to Mr. Cherry and all the persons on your board that are bringing all of these cultural and enrichment matters to Jackson, we really do appreciate you. And please don't think that it's not being seen, because it is being seen. And we thank you so much for that. On behalf of the City Council and on behalf of J.P. Stovall, who represents this district, I'm pleased to welcome everybody down here and welcome the out-of-town visitors to Jackson. You know, I was thinking and listening to what Mr. Ramsey just said. Christine Chapman was a band leader, but she got to put some adjectives to that. She was a female black band leader. And just think, she had 2 strikes against her back in the 40s or whenever it was, but she was able to thrive during that time. And that's just a testament to her. She was not given the credit that she well deserves. You've heard how many instruments she could play, and she was so very talented. So I'm very happy that the Jazz Foundation has saw fit to commemorate her with a plaque today, and it's just so fitting that we all are here today to have this opportunity. And also, and lastly, in going, just think about what was said about Big Maybelle. Just think, these are 2 talented people from Jackson, but more than that, they were from South Jackson. And from my understanding, they stayed within 2 blocks of each other. So that's another star in the crown. And let us think about the water that we drink in Jackson, that we can drink this kind of good water where the 2 people from South Jackson can drink this well water that's right down here and go on to do great things. Thank you so very much for coming today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Rich Coleman, and we have been working with Mr. James Cherry and the West Tennessee Jazz Foundation. And on behalf of the Chatman, Coleman, historical descendants families, we thank you. We thank you for this recognition for our aunt. And I am so pleased to be a part of this, because of all of the nieces and nephews, as a recording artist and touring musician myself, I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with my aunt when I was touring and performing throughout Florida with a show band called Cinnamon. As a singing drummer, I would bring to her music, my music, so she could hear it. And she was marveling at the harmonies and all of the things going on, but to play what was called a human jukebox show, a 90-minute set, nonstop. That was what we had to accommodate, that process of performing during that disco era and that music time. That was, we had the opportunity to share with her. But let me just share with you a little bit of the history about this initiative and the research that we have been involved with. My family, my immediate family, my wife Phyllis, my daughter Brittany, and my son Alex. It all started when he was in 3rd grade with an eye search. And I recommended to him, let's look up Aunt Chris. There's things we just don't know about her amazing career. My son turned 30 this year, and we are still finding information about her career. And the documentary that I am producing with my television production effort will do the deep dive. There's individuals I've talked to from around the world, not only who performed with her, but the music that I've collected. This banner that I created for the event is only a sample of all of the recordings and magazine articles that I have. And one of the things that I ordered and I got coming from Europe is the original version of 1954 of Only You with the Platters. She was the keyboard player for the entire year of 1954, touring with the Platters. And so that music during that era really put in perspective for me some of the other musicians that she worked with. Not only with Big Mabel, but Jack McPhee, Hank Ballard, and Peppy Prince, Memphis Slim, all of these individuals and names that were connected to her career that she performed with. And we talk about a band leader, and knowing myself as I have led a band and doing lead how you doing? Doing lead vocals from the drums and organizing those things, I understood the challenges that she went through, but also the dynamic of what it was like to put it all aside to be able to perform. And that was something that I would literally stay up all night with her. We would go through the photographs. And unfortunately, just a few blocks over, the block over here on Institute Street, when I would come to see Aunt Chris, she had photo albums with Hank Ballard and Lena Horne, Lou Rawls, and she would have a story about each one of those artists that she was performing with. And unfortunately, I had a flip phone at that time, mid-70s, folks, and I didn't take pictures of it. But when the tornado hit downtown, the house that they were in, we lost them all. My Aunt Myra was actually in the home, and the home collapsed on her. And there was a story that was done about her and picking the house remains up off of her. But we lost all of those pictures. But for me, the memories were there. And it's been amazing that as I've talked to my family members from all over the country, this has been as if she's with me saying, tell my story right. Because there's so much misinformation about her life and what happened that we want to make sure that we get it corrected. And that's what we're going to be doing with the documentary. And with this initiative today, I invited family members who also had a deep connection with Christine, our aunt, that we've asked to be here with us today to share in this incredible honor on behalf of the family. And what I've done beyond the documentary that I'm working on is also to do specific highlights and documentaries on our individual families. When James was talking about all of the things, the second generation of Colemans and Chatmans that are doing great things and have all over the map. I have my family, let me introduce, because they're all not here, so I'm taping this so they'll all know. Our older sister, Herlette, who passed a few years ago, was an amazing piano player, organ player for the church. She directed the choir. She was a school teacher and a principal. Just dynamic work that she did. Our oldest brother, Charles, God bless him, he's fighting cancer right now, but he is going to be watching and praying about this event today. Our brother Hurley, who is a bishop, and he's also a recording artist, Hurley Coleman. And for me, right above me and my twin brothers, my sister Yvonne, Ernestine Lewis, and her daughter, who is here today that's going to share with us, is also a radio host for Jazz Initiative that she's going to share with us all of the jazz artists and her perspective of what it's like to not only play her great aunt's music, but what it's like to play musicians during that era. My twin brother and I toured with a show band together. We are identical. He plays saxophone, and we were in a show band together, and his name is Ron. And one of the things we used to have fun doing on stage, we would switch spots. We'd start the set, he would be singing, and he'd walk away from the microphone yawning, and that's me singing the song on the drums. So a lot of people got confused in the nightclubs when we were performing. And then we have our younger sisters, the four of the Big Ten that came up behind us. Myra, who's here, not with us today, Myra Williams, and her family, and we're going to be talking about all of these family members and their dynamics. Behind her is my sister, who is Dorla Elaine Bonner, who is here today, who's going to sing one of Aunt Chris's songs this afternoon. And then my sister Evelyn. Evelyn is amazing with all of her efforts as well. And the baby girl of the family, Edna. So family members, yes, we're all here with us with this endeavor. So on behalf of the Chatman Coleman family, thank you again. on behalf of this initiative of what we're learning out here today to make this happen.
God bless you. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate this opportunity. Now, I am, as he stated, I'm one of the sons of the only son, but there are 13 in my family, 13 siblings. I'm not going to name them all, but there are a lot of them. So appreciate this opportunity. I didn't get to know Aunt Chris as well as my cousin Richie. But in 1978, I moved down here and I stayed with my Aunt Chris and my Aunt Lularie on Institute Street, and I was going to Lane College. In my memory, I vividly remember there were days when I would really get upset because it would be on the weekend, and when I would wake up, I would get up on Saturday mornings, and there would be a bunch of singing and music in the house. She had a piano in the front room, and what she was doing, she was teaching the choir members from Rock Temple how to sing. They had a gentleman that was playing. He was very talented, but he did not know how to play the piano. She was teaching him how to play the piano. If you're from Jackson, you probably heard of this guy. His name was Floyd Beard. Floyd Beard was part of the Rock Temple Church, but he also was a part of the White Law Singers. And in that group, there was Sherry Beard, Barbara Harden, Ann Beard. It was a number of folks. I'm not going to name them all. But she was teaching them, and when she had gotten sick with cancer and was bedridden, she would lay in the bed, and she could hear those that were off and when he would play the wrong notes. And she was directing them from her bed how to actually get everything right. And then later, I think it was in May of 80, at First Baptist, they had an appreciation for her. And that was when I really got to see how much she was appreciated in the church. Madam Wigley from Memphis, Tennessee, she was a part of J.O. Patterson's church, a presiding bishop at that time of the Church of God in Christ. They honored her in such a magnificent way that that day will always be remembered, because while they were singing and honoring her, my mother and father were there, and I was sitting on like the third row, and I looked up in the balcony, and there was this woman. She had to weigh about maybe say 105 pounds wet, right? But I saw her leave, and so you know how we do in the Baptist church. I tipped out and I followed her out, and I wanted to meet her. That young lady is now my wife for 44 years. So I thank my Aunt Chris for opening and making that happen in our lives, and so I really appreciate it. So even in Jackson, her history is still here in Jackson. We have a cousin that would also come over to the house on Institute and also work with the choir, and his name was Dwayne Roebuck. And Dwayne has a son named Chatman, and Chatman is really doing wonderful things here with a choir here in Jackson. So thank you all for honoring her, and thank you all for all you continue to do. And I hear so much about the mayor from Chatman and all that you guys are doing. We really appreciate it. God bless you, and continue to do great work.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again to the City of Jackson, to the Jazz Foundation for this honor. Thanks to my uncle, who has been tirelessly working on making sure that my Aunt Christine is honored properly. As he said, my family knows me as Betsy. I cannot escape that. I'm also known as Nina. I had a radio show called Life with Nina in Los Angeles some years back. And after we ended that particular show, I launched the Purple Rose Planet Radio Network, where we specifically play blues, jazz, and soul from the era that my Aunt Christine was in. I fell in love with jazz as a child watching The Cosby Show. All we listened to mainly in our house was gospel. Cosby's came on, and I heard Big Maybelle sing Candy in an episode of The Cosby Show. And me and my brother and sister, we all had VHS tapes that we could write our name on, and we could record whatever shows we wanted to on our tapes. And on my tape, I recorded that episode so I can play it over and over and over again to learn that song. And I was always told I was an old soul, as they say, you've been here before. So who knows? Probably Jackson is where I was from before. Um, but I fell in love with that music and I couldn't escape it. And I had no idea at that time why, that it was in my blood. It was a part of who I was. And so it became my mission. As you know, radio is so vast and you can find anything that you want. And in one place, I wanted to make sure we had access to blues, jazz, and souls from the founders of blues, jazz, and soul in our particular part of the world. And my aunt was a part of that. It also gave me an opportunity to put my grandfather, Hurley Coleman Sr., Dr. Hurley Coleman Sr., back on the radio. He preached in Saginaw, Michigan, being the founder of the church, Coleman Temple, Church of God in Christ in Saginaw, Michigan. He would preach every Sunday morning. After he passed away, people still wanted to hear his voice, and I wanted to make sure that they could all over the world. And I get requests randomly. I was not expecting this, but all the way from Japan. Funny you mentioned Japan, but they often request several messages over and over and over again. So we play him on the radio, and it's just a great opportunity to be able to share what all of those artists were able to do. I've also been a writer and producer specifically for plays. And with this documentary that is being produced by my uncle, we will have the outline for a musical about her life that I will be writing and producing, and looking forward to being able to perform that show to tell this wonderful story about her life. I'm so proud of her, so proud of what our family has been able to do, and working with this man is amazing. When I started my radio network, I wanted access to a lot of tapes and recordings from my grandfather, and he helped make sure that I have it, messages all over the place. So the Purple Rose Planet radio network will constantly be playing this music. If you are ever in need of jazz, you can look us up, and we will be playing it nonstop. We don't play commercials, so you can just hear it nonstop all of the time. And I'm just so honored to be able to do that. Thank you all for being here. Again, yes. My name is Nina. Appreciate for being here.
Where's Shaquille O'Neal when you need? Hey, so if the Coleman family can come up, we'd love to get some photos with you. Yeah, it is.
I knew it was coming.
Great job. Thank you all. Thank you all. All right. Well, I think Big Maybelle had this song called Candy, and that song received maybe more wider recognition than Christine's work. But people need to understand, if it wasn't for Christine, there would be no Big Maybelle, because Christine actually signed her up for her own band. And that's another thing, too. They were both raised in the same neighborhood. So South Jackson, at one time, was a very thriving community. And, there's a lot of music history here in Jackson. Well, we're not far from the Delta, in the Delta, there's a history of the blues and gospel and R&B and all these different types of music. So Jackson, we're part of that. I mean, you think about even music outside of that genre, such as rockabilly, right? Carl Perkins and Gil Scott-Heron. This is his boyhood home. So there's a rich tradition here that just keeps being built upon. I hope they understand that in a lot of ways, she was a forerunner with her independence and her talent. She was a forerunner to the artists that we have today, such as Beyonce and Taylor Swift, you know, who have that same independent spirit, right? So, you know, she was just an amazing person when you think about it. And like I said in my opening remarks, she had the courage to, at one point, she actually walked away from the whole business, which took a lot of courage as well. So,
You know, so we would be entertained by that concept of family. And we just embraced it, as well as once we got home, we had a piano at home. We, the Big Ten, as well as our cousins from Detroit, every time we got together, we did the same thing. It was singing, it was performing, it was the camaraderie that was so important for family. And that's what the mystique that has been uniquely there, because our family, there's 10 of us, and all of us sing. We all play instruments. You know, the first 6, we were known as the H.J. Coleman Singers. My father, as being a pastor and a touring national evangelist, we were his backup. And it's not just singing, but the band. I played drums. My sister played keyboards. My brother Hurley played guitar, so he didn't have to bring anybody. We were there for him. What I've discovered, and I've been sharing it with family along the way, and literally it's been a worldwide initiative, because a lot of the music in the UK, Japan, those areas that they loved the jazz sound, particularly jump blues during that era. And Aunt Chris played with Hank Ballard, and Hank Ballard, who is the original, he wrote the twist. And part of the research I discovered is that when Chubby Checkers went to the Dick Clark, who was going to be on the Dick Clark show, he was told, that music's not making it. Listen to side B of Hank Ballard's 45. And that was the twist. His version that Aunt Chris and several other musicians, and it's really kind of unclear, because she's, the way they did the linear notes, she's on there as a piano player, but there's another person also as a piano player. So it's not clear, because they didn't identify them by song. But you could hear that style, and that version was already out. So when Chubby Checkers was on Dick Clark and it went nuclear for him, both versions were on the charts at the same time. But when you hear the original version on the Best of Hank Ballard, they didn't make any changes. They literally recorded exactly like he did. And so playing with Hank Ballard, also the $1 Million record label that she was on with McVie, the other artists that she played with, particularly the Platters. I just got, and it's coming to me from Europe, the original version of Only You that she's playing piano on in 1954. She toured with the Platters the entire 1954 year. In 1955, they re-recorded the song, the studio version, and did a whole lot of tweaking and orchestrating. But the original version I'll have in my collection. Yeah.
Thank you for joining WLJT for this edition of All About Home History, as we remembered Jackson native and music legend Christine Chatman, the Boogie Woogie Queen, as a new historical marker honoring her is unveiled. I'm Peter Knoll. Thank you for watching.
It's all about home. Channel 11 WLJT. It's all about home. PBS for West Tennessee. It's all about home. Remember on with the legacy. It's all about home. Bringing the best to your family. It's all about home.
This program you've been watching was made possible through the generous financial support of West Tennessee PBS viewers like you. Please visit westtnpbs.org and make a donation today so that we can continue to make local programs like this possible. Thank you.